Jeff Norman is with Steve Brevidoro today, and we are going to talk insurance. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I think we should tell folks that Steve is not only my longtime lover, but no, just kidding about that. But Steve is my longtime insurance broker.
Longtime broker, even longer friend.
That is true. That is true.
We were friends first, and then we got into, insurance.
I imagine that's probably how a lot of you insurance guys get your business. You pretend you like somebody, and then you seduce them to turn over some money to you.
We pretend that we like you, and then we gain your trust, and then you call us, and we begin our process.
So are you an insurance broker or an insurance agent, or is there no difference? Are those terms synonymous?
Not really. I was an agent and a broker for some 29 years, an agent with Farmers, a broker as far as my own insurance agency. I recently cut ties with Farmers, and now I'm just an individual independent broker.
I see. But are you still an agent also, or an agent means you're affiliated with a company?
Well, yeah, I'm a little more of a broker, because an agent would mean Farmers agent, State Farm agent, Allstate agent. Kind of leans towards an agent leans towards that, as opposed to a broker who shops the market and looks for a lot of different quotes to provide for the client. So you could intermix the terms, but an agent is more like a farmer's agent, and a broker is more like myself now, independent.
Well, so this is a question more about the industry than about you personally. I would think that somebody who's affiliated with an insurance company has some sort of an allegiance to that company and might feel some type of pressure now and again. But they also supposedly have an allegiance to the customer. How does that tension play out, and what should customers look for to figure out if their broker's really looking after their interests rather than the company's?
Good question. I hadn't prepared for that one.
Well, if you want to go take a couple of shots of whiskey and then come back and just make up any bullshit, that'll be fine. No problem.
There's a lot of trust involved first. Like we said, you and I established trust, and hopefully the agent has the integrity. Once you have the trust, then an agent, whether it's a broker or not, goes after, the best deals and the best possible placement for the client they can provide. When you're with Farmers or State Farm, you are what they call somewhat captive, and you sort of have to offer them first. If you have the trust of the client and they like the Farmers or State Farm deal, you can go with that. The synergy happens and the policy happens. As an independent now, I am shopping a few companies. I have a host of companies, and try to provide you, the client, with the best offering that I can find, still backed up by that trust. So it all emanates from a trustworthy situation, integrity. We have, insurance agents have various rules we have to follow. When we provide things for people.
I guess the fun really starts when it's time to submit a claim, and there's a question about whether that claim will be paid.
That's why we're talking today. Yeah, the fun. You're only as good as the claims department at the end of the day.
He's here because playing an informational role. I asked him to do this. This is not to drive business to Steve. However, if anybody happens to be in the market for insurance, Steve would not reject you if you were to contact him, and he might even be persuaded to sell you some type of insurance. If you really
take note of that AOL too. That's
informational. I'm already learning that AOL is still in business. I had no idea. Now, Steve may have a company that nobody except him still uses, but he gives state-of-the-art service. That is what. Now, Steve, I don't think you'll be insulted if I mention that insurance is not really generally perceived as a sexy topic, but I think that it is important in general, and it's especially important as it relates to the rioting, and that's why I wanted you to come on. Because what occurred to me is, I don't know what the figures add up to exactly, but it's probably in the trillions, billions anyway, as far as all the damage that has been caused by the rioting recently. And some people have insurance, some people don't. The ones who have insurance have what I've noticed to be an attitude of, well, whatever, the insurance will pay for it, not so traumatic. But I wanted to dig into the details a little bit on that. Before we do, why don't we just play a report from a local TV news station in Michigan. They just skimmed the surface, but it might be a good way for us to ease into the topic.
Lots of businesses are working to clean up in the downtown area, many working to file insurance claims to rebuild now.
News 8's Whitney Burney joins us now live with what businesses say they're going through to get the money for repairs. Whitney?
Well, Brian and Sue, the first thing that businesses have to do is secure a police report. But as we know, the Grand Rapids Police Department has been pretty busy trying to protect the city from further looting and rioting. This is some of the damage that we saw in the downtown area. Lots of graffiti, broken windows, and several businesses were looted throughout the weekend. We spoke with a local insurance agency to determine exactly how rioting and looting are covered in insurance policies. They say it all depends on your policy and your lease agreement. Some insurance policies will only cover what's inside the building. They say some lease agreements will put responsibility on tenants, while others will require owners replace things like broken windows. The folks that we spoke with at Cinco de Mayo restaurant in downtown Grand Rapids say they're looking forward to moving on, but are having trouble with just that first step of securing the police report.
They were so busy because there is a high demand right now in a police report. So they just told me to wait or go online to make a report.
The insurance agency that we spoke with also says that being able to fix or repair vandalism will also depend on your policy. We'll be back after this.
Okay, I just happened to pick that particular report out of, a few I could have selected, and they're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I don't know if the insurance situation is any different in California or other parts of the country, but my guess is probably not all that different. Let's start with that police report issue. Is that true in your experience that the first step is to file a police report?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm hearing it also that companies are requiring a police report first and foremost, and that could take a while based on all the chaos. That worries me a little bit. It allows the insurance companies to sort of begin to, prepare their fight as they wait for the police report. The claim can be turned in, claim number is assigned, but they wait for the police report for the, for some of the underlying causes and what the police report says. That concerns me a little bit because it could take a while from the police.
Well, not only does it give the insurance company a chance to get their ducks in a row, so to speak, it means that the person who's in an emergency situation can't get their emergency addressed. I mean, some people, of course, can survive longer than others, but some people need the money now, or and the longer they don't have it, the longer it takes them to recover.
Yes, like in fire insurance during the fires in Malibu and Calabasas, oftentimes an insurance company will go out and write 25, 50% check, and then they'll catch you on the backside once they do all their homework. In this particular case, we have yet to see if the insurance companies are writing that 25 or 50% check, if they've checked the policy and seen some of the components are available for that client. I don't know how that's going to go. We're still in the first week of this thing. So.
Right. Now, in this news report, it was mentioned that the cop said either wait or file the police report online. That doesn't sound so bad as long as you're a person who has access to the internet. Is that something that can solve the issue easily enough, or is?
Yeah,
or,
I don't know how that police report is pairing out. On a normal day, if one business was looted or vandalized, and that police report could be produced fairly quickly. But now you have multiple locations, and I mean, Long Beach, Santa Monica, Fairfax District, downtown LA, such a scope in front of the police departments to put these reports out. Again, I just think it's
don't know, are you saying you don't know whether or not police departments in general offer you the option to just do it online?
No, I do not.
Right. Okay. Because that wouldn't be so bad if that is an option. So when we spoke privately a few days ago, I asked you to make a guess at how many businesses or what percentage of businesses that were damaged have insurance that covers the damage they just endured, and what percentage doesn't. And you've had a few more days to think about it, so maybe you have the same estimate, maybe you don't. Why don't you tell the nice people watching us what you think roughly the percentage is?
Well, I still stick to 50% of the people have the policy they need, and 50% perhaps don't. As I mentioned to you in our conversation, a lot of people in shops along the boulevard simply buy liability insurance to satisfy their landlord, and they don't buy the property. You've got property and you've got liability. And a lot of people just buy the liability to satisfy the landlord. So they forget the property. They eschew it. They don't want it. They say, I don't need it. I just want to satisfy the landlord. And off they go with their policy for the year. An agent should remind them that property insurance is important. So that's the first part of the 50% that I kind of worry about. A lot of people just have liability only.
All right. Well, is property insurance, does that automatically include riot insurance or fire insurance?
Whatever. That's the next thing. Yeah. If you've purchased property insurance.
It's sexy, by the way, Steve. So throw in a few cuss words or something.
There's nothing sexy about insurance, as you well know, except for our policy that we do. The property insurance, when purchased, now the question is a little bit weird, because buildings have to be up to code to get the special form property insurance. There's 3 types of insurance, the lowest being basic form, and there's a middle form that I forget the name of, and then there's a top form that's special form. Special form contains the extended coverages, which include riot and civil commotion.
All right. So somebody has an old dilapidated building, they may not even be eligible to buy the insurance they want. The companies simply will not sell it to them, correct?
This is the problem I was telling you about. And I've worked with buildings on Melrose and Beverly and the 3rd Street.
Yeah.
Those buildings are built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And you have to have, oddly enough, the renovations of the building up to snuff. The permits have to be held for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and roofing. So to get special form on that property. Now that intuitively makes no sense. Why should anybody care if the electrical outlet is updated as to looting?
Right.
And it's a very strange and convoluted way that we as agents have to say, for you to get special form on your property, now that you've got property, you have to give us the renovations. If the renovations do not come to my office, proof,
right,
then it's only basic form fire and no riot, no civil commotion, no extended coverage, because it's basic form.
What about, you said it's only fire, but what about if it's a fire that was caused by the rioting?
That's good, because fire would be the rioters went in, they looked around, they couldn't find anything, they tossed a match and did.
So fire is covered whether or not it was a riot.
Yeah, because ultimately the loss of damage would be because of the peril of fire.
Okay. So if somebody's got a building that's up to code, then they're eligible to buy this. You're calling it form insurance? Was that the term you used?
They're eligible to buy special form.
Special form.
As a part of the property insurance. So you have property insurance, and
Yeah.
you get special form, and then you get special form gives you extended coverages. So property, special form, extended coverage.
All right.
Cascades.
So we're talking to laymen here. Does that mean riot insurance special form, or it might mean riot insurance, or no?
Most special form endorsements, most special form policies contain riot and civil commotion. They also contain things like wind, hail, aircraft,
Right.
things like that.
So the average business owner then doesn't have to worry about some sleight of hand deceptiveness. This is like a standard thing that if they buy this special form insurance, that's riot. And they're not going to say, oh, it wasn't the right kind of riot or the right kind of vandalism. And they'll just pay it, or is it more complicated than
Well,
that?
like the piece that you had, it said it depends. There are some other dependent factors too. Because different carriers will offer, say for instance, you have a building built in 2005. That building is up to code in the insurance wheelhouse to offer not only property coverage, but special form coverage. That 2005 building can get all these coverages. But if you're a business owner inside a building built in 1975, you have to look to your landlord to get the renovations. Now, the landlord usually says, hey, I just do things as needed. And that can be very tricky, because as needed meaning he's not pulling any permits to update that electrical, that plumbing, that roof, or that HVAC, or heating and air conditioning, as we call it. It's a very strange thing. So if you got a new building, you probably waltzed right into special form because the insurance carrier sees the building.
Now, are you talking about mom and pop businesses, or do even some of the major chains have to worry about these issues?
I'm talking about both. You have, let's say you have a exquisitely great, Angelia Osteria on Melrose, I believe it's Beverly Boulevard, Angelia Osteria. Beautiful restaurant, high class, everybody loves to go there, very small, very tight, very, very nice. That building is probably built in 1975. So he, as a restaurant owner, would need to go to the landlord and get the proper renovations. We call them renovation dates. And we hope they're about 20 years old as to 2020. If that great restaurant has no renovations, the insurance company is going to back to basic fire until they can get that.
Right. Now, would you say adjectives like epic and biblical and unprecedented might be appropriate to describe the amount of money that's going to have to be paid out across the country as a result of these riots?
Yeah. We, I've only been an agent for 30 years. That's not that long. We went through the earthquake in Northridge. That was pretty epic, but that was local. We went through 9/11. That was pretty epic, but that was local to New York. And we went through the stock crash in 2008, which crashed a lot of business houses. That was pretty epic. That was pretty nationwide.
Right.
This one is unprecedentedly, epically crazy, because when it all shakes out from all these areas and cities across the nation, this could put a big hurt on insurance companies, one that they haven't seen for quite a while.
So what are the consequences going to be to society at large? I'm thinking of I guess, looking at this in two ways. And maybe there are other aspects to it that I'm not even thinking about. But one is, are rates going to be increased? And the other is, it doesn't seem that the police and our political leaders did the greatest job preparing for these riots, especially once it got started. And, this attitude of, oh, so what? The insurance companies will just pay for it can't be pleasing to the insurance companies. And we all know that business in general has great political connections to make sure their interests are represented. And the insurance company in particular is a huge business. Are they going to be applying political pressure so that they're not left vulnerable to this sort of thing to happen again? Or, how's it all going to shake out? You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, I see it. It's a very broad brush that you're kind of getting into. Again, we're only in the first week of looting and damage necessarily. So the cities across America and the insurance companies are going to get a little hurt on this. If in fact, a lot hurt. There's going to be unbelievable amount of lawsuits because of all the damage and maybe things not being covered. You've got factors like curfew, loss of income.
Oh,
you've got factors like the virus loss of income.
I just hit the wrong button. Can you repeat what you said the last 30 seconds? You started to say there are factors like curfew.
Well, there's other factors involved. The virus loss of income for businesses, which has been declined as a whole. Mm-hmm. The curfew loss of income, which is new, right? It started on Sunday. Curfew loss of income will have to be factored by the insurance carriers. They might be a little more apt to pay loss of income. Riot loss of income because of damage and loss of use of their business. That will be loss of income factors into the the special form and the coverage that's needed.
Right. The term I've heard is business interruption insurance. Is that the same thing as what you're talking about?
Business interruption, loss of income.
See, I did my homework, Steve. I'm not as dumb as I look.
No, you're not. And we didn't even talk about the agents offering a special form and also offering business interruption. It's a line item.
Right, because you lose money not only from the destruction of the property, but from not being able to operate. So is business interruption, does that cover all the different subcategories you just mentioned automatically or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. It really depends. A lot of the bigger companies offer 18 months actual loss sustained loss of income. 18 months.
Yeah.
Some of the littler policies offer about 3 or 4 months of business income. But like I said, not only do you have to buy special form, you have to buy property damage. The other line of offering is business interruption. A lot of agents forget to offer the business interruption. They'll put the property coverage on, but they forget to put the business interruption on. Tricky.
Right. Well, and the average businessman or businesswoman isn't going to know about that. They have to rely on their broker to educate them, right?
They have to rely on their broker to piece together. That's what I went back on, the trust and integrity of what you're trying to give to your clients. If you have integrity, you're covering bases. Also, you're offering it.
Also competent. You could have a lot of integrity, but be incompetent, right?
Well, competent, yeah, that's another word that needs to be thrown in there. This is going to have a lot of lawsuits because agents are going to forget to offer. There's going to be accusations. Oh, Steve forgot to offer me, and we could have offered it. You have to note the file and have people check things off. There's a checklist that we have people mark off when they decline certain coverages so that we have it in our file. It's fraught with danger, just fraught.
Well, I'm prepared to stand shoulder to shoulder with my friends in the insurance industry and business owners with regard to this business interruption issue, because I'm already pissed at this curfew that's been going on for, I think, like 5
I know you are.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't believe everybody are such sheeple. They just, they just take it because somebody issued a vague statement that it's for public safety. Well, can we be more specific? where I live, there's been nothing going on in the way of rioting for the last few nights. And, and I sent an email to my city council person, and, I just got a vague reply that, well, there's talk of more demonstrations. Well, that's not an emergency. Life has risks to it. So, I don't know why these people feel entitled to just, shut everything down and then not even explain.
You could even back it up into the virus, and you could back up the safer at home, right?
Yeah. Well, at least that was debated. I heard some debate about that. But with this, people don't even seem to be questioning it. I understand that the government has the authority, but it's possible that authority can be asserted improperly. And so there should be a debate about that.
Well, that's why I said one of the aspects of this is curfews as it relates to loss of income, or as you say, business interruption.
Yeah.
Companies are not necessarily against covering the loss of income for the curfew. Now, the company will have to prove by receipts how much money they were making. They kind of forecast or detail the amount of money they lost up to the curfew. You can't go, if it's curfew's at 6, you're not going to get business interruption at 5 p.m. But you'll get it from 6 to 10 if you were open from 6 to 10.
Yeah, and you know what I flashed through my mind as you said that is, well, I guess that depends on what period of time you use to come up with these projections. Are the insurance companies going to point to the time period when businesses were closed due to the coronavirus shutdown and say that's your average, or are they going to point to the time when people were actually open as in terms of calculating the average?
You can see where this is headed, Jeff. It is a very tricky situation.
Oh, Steve.
Let me throw this one in.
Yes.
A lot of carriers, not the big carriers like State Farm or Farmers, if they've offered 18 months of actual loss sustained business interruption, that's a good thing. But a lot of the carriers that are outside of those bigger companies could have a 72-hour or 3-day deductible before you can claim loss of receipts. You can buy back that 72 hours to 8 hours on a lot of policies. So again, it depends how it's crafted.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound so bad as long as it's above board. That's pretty standard, to give people options as to how much insurance they're buying, right?
Yeah, but if your curfew is from 6 to 10 p.m. on Sunday night and you lost, for instance, you lost receipts, then you opened, so the clock stops, then you curfewed again, you have different claim periods. Right. It is going to be a nightmare to ferret out how to pay loss of income when you have a 72-hour or 8-hour deductible on the time that you went down, because they open up again.
Are you and any of your clients dealing with any of this stuff right now, or
I have plenty of clients, yeah, but I have my checkpoints. I have my property coverage, then I have my special form, making sure that extended coverages are there. Then I have my business interruption. Then I have my 72 or 8-hour deductible and or 0 deductible, depending on the carrier. Obviously, if you have 0 deductible, you're going to pay more money. If you have a 72-hour deductible, that is going to cost you less.
So you have clients who got hit during the riots?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So is this a busy time for you, or?
Oh, yeah, it's very busy. I've been fortunate that no clients have been damaged, to the point of just complete tear out. Glass has been hurt. And, glass is not a big deal to carriers. They'll replace the glass. It's not a big deal. The landlord of the building and or the business tenant, glass is not a big deal to insurance companies. They'll replace that glass as soon as possible. Oh, and by the way, on your claim, save all your receipts for the debris removal. That's another thing that's covered in the insurance, debris removal.
I see a lot of, we've all seen, I'm sure, a lot of businesses are boarded up. Who pays for that typically?
I think the client does. My client put boards up on her shop, and that was at her expense.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be cheap. Must be several $100s in general, depending on the size and so forth and who's doing it, right?
Yeah, we call that board insurance.
What do you mean board insurance? I thought you just said the client pays for it. Are you kidding?
I'm kidding. What we call that is they put up boards as an insurance. You know, it's a part of insurance, like you would drive slowly or.
Yeah. It performs the function of insurance.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing for the insurance companies because it diminishes the chances of them having to pay out claims too.
Well, driving around Calabasas, they were all boarded up. I saw in the Commons, Calabasas Commons was entirely boarded up.
Yeah, right. We can't even go to these businesses now. How long is this going to last, Steve? Do something.
I don't know how long it's going to last. Like I said, we're in epic times. We've never seen anything like this. I do believe since the trial for the police officers is months away, you can imagine how long this is going to go.
Oh yeah, riots every night until they get their conviction, which they may not.
Protests every night. Yeah, hopefully not riots, but protests are fine, but hopefully not looting and riots. Yeah.
It's so sad because there was, near unanimous condemnation of the incident with the officers. So,
exactly.
It's not.
That was a no-brainer. Really, that's a no-brainer.
All right. Well, did we cover all the angles? Do you think? Do you feel complete with this conversation? It's not easy to get you, so I wouldn't want to lose, say goodbye without addressing it all.
Well, I think we've covered everything. It's a very difficult subject. It depends. The LA Times came out with a article. It depends. I've seen the lady on your piece say it depends. There's a lot of things that the insurance agent, the carrier, and the client have to work out. And competence and integrity and trust is something from your insurance agent that you need. It's a tough business, Jeff. It's not sexy. There's nothing sexy about insurance.
Well, before we end, let's just go back to that other question I asked because I'm not sure that you actually answered it. Are rates going to go up, and is there going to be political pressure put on governments to be more aggressive about preventing looting, or the insurance company is just going to happily pay it?
Well, what ran through my mind when you asked me that question is insurance rarely dies. It's the backbone of our society. Mm-hmm. I mean, auto insurance, home insurance, health insurance, and business insurance, as well as life insurance, are the backbone of our existence. Rates will definitely go up, especially for loss of income, business interruption, especially for special form after they pay all these claims out. Rates go up. That's how it works. The people that had fires in Calabasas and Malibu have discovered that their rates have gone up as the renewals come at them, and or they're declined, and they have to shop in the surplus lines market. Rates will go up. Political authority, I'm not too sure. Political pressure, I'm not too sure how that's going to pan out. Again, we're just in the first week of riots and looting, 8-9 days.
The pressure may come from business owners if they can't buy insurance or it's too expensive. Now, I know you can't be precise, but can you say a little bit more to paint a picture of, how many people, aren't going to be able to buy insurance now that previously could have, or aren't going to be able to afford it? Is it going to be just the major chains that can afford to be in business now, and the mom and pop stores are almost all going to have a trouble, or you just think it's going to be a little tighter market?
It's going to be a little tighter. I think that insurance carriers will offer the renewal. I'm writing renewals for clients right now, and they're grabbing at it quickly. People tend to pay their insurance a little faster during these terrible times as they would in good times. So people reach out and grab that insurance, make sure they have it if they can afford it. The virus has made a lot of people not be able to grab that insurance. That's a problem in itself. But rates are going to go up just like they did from 9/11. They went up about, I would say, 10 to 13% on average. Rates up. Some carriers gave it for less because their book of business was not as affected as other books of business. So, I think generally 10% rate increase is going to come or something like that. And but carriers are not going to necessarily go anywhere unless they suffer biblical amounts of damage. Let's say State Farm takes a huge, huge hit. They're the biggest in the nation. They probably can survive it. Farmers is pretty big. Allstate's pretty big. Lloyd's of London is pretty big. Yeah. Scottsdale, very big. Evanston, very big. But Farmers, State Farm, and Allstate are preferred carriers in the state of California. And Scottsdale, Lloyd's of London, and Evanston are what they call surplus lines. They're a little different. They're huge. Zurich is huge. And they kind of reinsure a lot of these carriers. So my estimation is insurance rarely dies. Rates will go up over the next few years. And will people be able to afford it? I don't know. They might get out of the business and go into another business.
They're already squeezed. Ma and pa stores have been having, great difficulty competing with the big chains, and brick and mortar versus online has been, quite challenging for people. And then the coronavirus, especially restaurants. Can you imagine these restaurants have been closed down all this time, and the very day they're opening, or the very weekend they're opening, when it should be celebratory and a chance to start recovering, they're hit with this. I mean, it's just got to be too much for some people emotionally, if not financially.
I don't know. Restaurants is some of our favorite things, right? We all love restaurants. We love to go and sit and chat.
Yep.
And eat. And it's very upsetting. It's very emotional. And this is going to take a long time to dig out of. And I don't know,
so it's part of your job being almost like a shrink sometimes. I mean, you're dealing with seriously. I would imagine you're dealing with people during catastrophic moments in their lives, right? Not everybody is a cool cucumber when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like I mentioned, insurance is the backbone of this nation. I mean, without insurance, everybody's just at a raw point. They have no place to go. They need good coverage. Does everybody buy the right coverage when the agent says, here's the policy, and it's got this and this and this and this? And a lot of people say, I don't want that part. Oof, it's tough.
Well, I could use a hug right about now. So I'll be over in about 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
I'll wear a surgical mask, though. And as long as I get a good hug, I'll even laminate my entire body from head to toe. About that.
You're the best. Right. Keep reporting from the front lines. I watch your reports.
Oh, good. Thank you. And thanks a lot for doing this. I think it was very informative.
You're welcome. We can talk about any other insurances anytime.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.